supportive, and they ensure you feel confident in the financial decisions ahead. With over 25 years of experience, Rick Bone and his team are dedicated to providing clear, professional guidance that empowers you to secure the retirement you've always dreamed of. It is so nice to spend time with you, Rick.
Yeah, it's always fun to be here. You know, I enjoy it.
We have so much fun, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
So today, our topic is we're going to talk about some mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, so there's a lot of mistakes out there, and I think I brought some slides in to highlight a few of them.
Absolutely.
But the biggest mistake I think people make, Sue, and you may already know this, is they fail to plan. They just don't plan for retirement. And look, stuff happens, life gets in the way. We're throwing a lot of curveballs along the way.
We are.
That, sometimes we swing and miss, and that's okay. But knowing and having a plan, whether it's a good plan or not, and whether it's exactly what you thought it was going to be or not, that's kind of irrelevant. You need to have a plan to get you through that last third of your life, right? Especially now.
And we're living longer, right? So it isn't just this sort of like a 5-year thing. It could be a 25-year thing.
I think people need to plan for like a 30-year retirement. Because we are living longer. And I don't know if that's good or bad or right or wrong. Okay, that's a topic for a different night.
Different night, yeah.
Yeah, but we are living longer. And, I was talking to a gentleman this morning. His mom's 95 and still lives on her own. I know. I mean, my parents are 86 and 84 and still alive. And both my in-laws are 85. I mean, that's crazy. Like my wife and I look at each other and go, how long are we going to live?
I know. It's so crazy. Because don't your friends go, your mom and dad are still alive? Like,
yeah.
They look at you in like shock, right?
Yeah, and they're all doing great.
Wow.
Which is even, it's even more amazing.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, you have to plan for 25 to 30 years, which means you're going to go through a couple of economic cycles, good and bad.
That's true.
Because every good cycle is followed by a bad cycle, and every bad cycle is followed by a good cycle.
Interesting.
And so you have to plan to get through those with, I'm going to use the word the least amount of stress possible.
Yes.
But I'm going to say the amount of stress you're comfortable with. That's what it's all about. Because some people are okay taking huge risk, and other people no risk, and neither one's right, neither one's wrong, but you got to do it to your comfort level.
Right.
And I think as a firm, that's what we're pretty good at, is helping people determine their comfort level, their risk assessment, and then building custom plans that strive to stay within that.
See, I really feel that what you do is you listen intently, Rick, because you have to kind of get the feeling of what kind of a person they are and how they're going to be with different, in a sense, markets. So it's like, if I do this plan, then that's going to make him comfortable because he's okay in these situations. So
Yeah.
It's a lot more in depth than just like, what do you have and where do you want to end up? Like, much more.
What does everyone do? They just give you some products. They talk to you maybe for like 5 or 10 minutes and then say, well, this is the product that our company says you need to have, or something along those lines. And I think it's way more in-depth.
It really is.
Than that. And in fact, this is kind of a funny story. We put a plan together for a widow, I'm going to say 6 or 7 years ago. And she took the plan we gave her, and she went and talked to her current financial advisor, who I think was working within one of the banks.
Okay.
And this financial advisor read the plan we put together, and they said to this potential client of ours, like, is this guy a relative of yours? He seems to know you so well. Wow. Are you related to him? And Sue, no, I sat down and I chatted with her for 2.5 hours or so, wow. And just through experience learned how to get the right stuff.
Oh my God,
yeah,
that's such a compliment.
It was a huge compliment.
Such a compliment.
Yeah,
I love
it was a huge compliment.
And I love that he said that because it's sort of like it isn't really benefiting him for you to do a phenomenal job because he could lose her to you.
Yeah,
but he was honest.
Yeah, he was, which was great, and unfortunately, he did lose us.
He did.
He did lose her to us.
He did lose her, but she's taken care of now, and she's
taken care of very well.
You can't put a price on.
And here's the ironic part. She had a very stable job and a very good income, and she lost her job. She called me up a couple of years ago in February and said, Rick, like, I got an email at 5 a.m. this morning on a Friday and said, like, you're done. Today's your last day. We're shutting off your email, turning your car, and everything else. And she'd been with this company. It's a major local company, not like one of the autos. It was something else. And she was devastated, but she had a plan. Thank God she had a retirement plan. So although, she was devastated about everything else, she called me and said, Rick, can we pull this a little bit forward? I said, yeah, let me spend a few minutes pulling everything forward a couple of years and see how it looks. And by the afternoon, she knew she was okay to accept that layoff or downsizing or whatever they wanted to call it and be fine financially. Emotionally, there's going to be a lot there to unpack. Financially, she knew she was going to be fine. And that's what it's all about.
It would be even worse emotionally if she'd never met you, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's because that she had a plan and you knew that she was comfortable with your thinking.
Yeah.
That you led her in the right direction. So we're going to talk about this first slide. It says, okay, sidestepping. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, we're doing this 3-part series, and the third part's on mistakes. So we're talking about sidestepping mistakes that are out there. Now, the big one is Social Security, right? Now, let me ask you a question. And this is coming from the Social Security Administration.
Okay.
What % of people are they saying file their Social Security correctly?
Correctly, it's probably a small number.
Yeah, it is small. Don't cheat.
40%? No, I have no idea. 40%?
4%.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
4% file their Social Security correctly, which means 96% are doing it incorrectly. Now, look, at the end of the day, correctly versus incorrectly is all sort of subjective, but it just means you're leaving money on the table.
That's shocking.
I know. And because Social Security's in a little bit of financial trouble, they might want us to file a little bit incorrectly, right? Because it saves them some money at the end of the day.
That's
so
true.
I think the first example we have is maybe a widow. Or actually, I think, it's for a widow. So the first thing I wanted to tell you, or I think it's important to note, is although we're all eligible for Social Security at the age of 62, your full retirement age varies depending upon the year you were born.
Okay.
So 1954 is really the big year because that's when it's 66 or earlier. A lot of people think full retirement's 65, and that's just not the case. The confusing part is we're all eligible for Medicare at the age of 65, which you know because that's your specialty.
Yeah.
Full retirement for the vast majority of us is the age of 67. But there's a graduating scale between 1954 and 1960. Goes up by 2 months each year. In anyone that was born in 1960 or later, their full retirement is 67. To make it a little bit more confusing, their maximum benefit is at the age of 70.
Okay.
And that's for everyone. So
Everyone.
it doesn't grow past that, and you really kind of have to take it at the age of 70.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if you go to the next slide, I want to show you a sort of case study
Very good.
with a widow. Now, I think I talked about it last time I was here a few weeks ago too, that, everyone has a brother-in-law or a neighbor's brother or a cousin-in-law or someone that gives them advice.
Yeah.
Now, Wilma here was a widow, and she was 65, and her brother-in-law, in this case, told her that she should start taking her benefit at 65.
Okay.
A couple of years early. She wasn't full retirement yet. But if you see the number up there, it's $1,762
It's 65.
a month.
A month. Okay.
But as a widow, she was entitled to something called a survivor benefit.
Okay.
Now, if her brother-in-law had given her the right advice, she should have been taking her survivor benefit at the age of 60. Okay, even though the earliest we're allowed to take it is 62.
Right.
If you're a widow or widower, a survivor benefit, you can be eligible at the age of 60. Now, there's some other hoops you got to jump through. We're not going to get into those tonight because it does get a little bit confusing. So when she came in to finish the class with us, we informed her that her widow's benefit or her survivor benefit from her deceased husband would have been $1,715 a month. Now, look at first glance, you say, well, $1,715 is a lot less than $1,762. It's, I don't know, almost $50 a month. It's $48 a month less. But the key is this. She can let her own benefit accrue. And if she let her own benefit accrue to the age of 70, she now can switch to her own benefit, which is $2,500 a month. So she gets a $700 a month raise at the age of 70. All right, she gives up $47 bucks a month for 5 years to get an extra $761
For life.
for life. That's a difference maker.
Is it ever?
The thing is, though, if she took her own benefit at 65,
So
it's all off the table.
The time
It's all
stops.
you have to do it before.
And that's why people make mistakes, because once they've made that mistake, you can't go backwards.
Okay. In theory, you can't. But with Social Security, you do get one do-over, but you have to catch it within 1 year, and no one does.
No one does.
And you have to pay it all back. And then you get a do-over. And Sue, in 35 years of doing this professionally for a living, I've never seen one person do it. Because now you're writing a check back. In
Yeah.
$1,700 a month, you're writing a check back for like $20,000. Very few people, most people don't have it. Most people take it because they need it and they use it to live off of. So you do get one chance to do it over. It rarely happens.
In 35 years,
35 years, yeah.
no one has.
Nope. So I want to show you one other thing. If you go to that
The
next
same
slide, I just
thing.
want to show you the total difference. Okay. If she would have taken her own SOCH at 65 and she just lived to a normal life expectancy, let's say mid to late 80s, her total benefit would have been $716,000. Taking her survivor benefit and then hers at 70, her total benefit, normal life expectancy, 970s. That's $250,000 more.
For not doing anything but doing it right.
Not doing anything different, just doing it right. And I'm not even sure if it's doing it right in this case, Sue. It's not always this straightforward. You just have to look at it. Like as a professional planner, what I do is I show Wilma here and say, okay, you make the decision. What's best for you and your family? Now, this case was pretty clear, right? But they're not always this cut and dry. You look at it, you make the decision, and you're good to go.
Okay. I think the next one is working.
Okay. Yes, working while taking your benefits. So we're all eligible at the age of 62.
Okay.
All right. And let's just say for most of us, our full retirement is the age of 67.
Okay.
A lot of people want to do what's called double dipping. Take their Social Security and continue to work full time. Now, the government's caught on to this, and they've put a threshold onto the amount of income you can earn while still working, and it's pretty low. It's $23,400
For the year?
for the year. Now, for every $2 you make over that, you have to give $1 back.
Okay. So it's kind of clawed back?
It's 100% clawed back. So let's just say, I don't know, you make $43,000 taking your Social Security. That's 20 grand over. You have to give 10 grand back to Uncle Sam. If you make $63,000, that's 40 grand over, which means you have to give $20,000
For working.
back for
You're
working.
Working.
This is that's not even the worst thing. The worst thing is you're not locked in to your lowest benefit. So it's really one of these things that you have to look at it from all these different angles before you
Right.
do it. Just because, someone down at work said, oh, hey, Joe, you don't have longevity in your life. You should be taking your Social Security benefit because there's no asset there. It's just a stream of income. keep working. I know you like working and you want to work a little bit longer. You really have to look at it thoroughly before you make the leap. Because a lot of these things are irrevocable and you're going to end up losing money.
Wow. This is like a really important show because a lot of people don't know about being correct has such a huge effect because the person that you're going to see understands it all the way around it, all of the repercussions.
Hopefully. Okay, there's a lot of bad advice out there too. I
But
hear a lot of bad
you
advice on the radio. Yeah, well, look at the end of the day, there's like 3,000 rules on Social Security, and fortunately, I know about 2,000 of them.
Wow.
Okay, there's some that I don't know, but I'm smart enough to say, okay, I'll research it or find it out
Exactly.
before we make any firm recommendations.
Exactly.
Yep. So if you could go back to that last slide for a minute. Yeah. So that 23,400, it goes up a little bit each year with cost of living. So
Okay.
that's not a firm number.
Okay.
Might go up about $1,000 next year or $500 depending on inflation, but it goes up a little bit each year. Now, once you reach your full retirement, that goes away and you can work as much as you want and you don't have to worry about giving any back. Okay?
Okay.
You're going to get taxed on it soon, but you don't have to give it back.
That's major.
Yeah, that is major. So those are the two big mistakes we see. One, for survivors.
Right.
Okay? Did you have a question?
No.
Okay.
I was going to say because that like she's making a decision because her spouse has passed away, so she really like would have benefited by going to someone and saying what would be the best thing for me to do here.
Yeah.
And then someone would.
Okay, so I love this because you bring up a great point. You said going to see someone and look it through. Because if you remember about 5 minutes ago, I said your survivor benefit, you're eligible at the age of 60 for that. So Wilma in this case study could have literally taken that at 60. But, wait a minute, there's a big but. She's now under that earnings threshold. So we see a lot of widows take their late husband's benefit at 60, keep working because, well, they want to, they might need to, they want to get out of the
60
house.
young, right?
60's young.
You're fine.
And they make, 40, 50 grand a year and they're giving money back. Okay, so you got to be really careful. Like for Wilma, if she wanted to take it at 60, that's great, but you better not make much over 23.4 a year. Wow. And back then, 5 years ago, it was like 20,400, not 23.4. So you really got to be careful and you got to look at it. And, my most fervent wish is you talk to someone that knows about this and can point out the mistakes that
Right.
people might make.
Right.
All right. And the thing is, you come and talk to me or someone like me that specializes in, you still might make a mistake, but they're going to be a lot smaller, in my opinion, when a mistake is made.
And it's kind of like I know that you can present them with options, but you never make a decision for them.
I never do. No, it's all up to them.
In all these
And
years,
as a
you've never done that.
fiduciary, that's what they do. They say, okay, so you have option A and option B. Neither one's perfect, by the way, because it's never going to be perfect. You choose which one you like the best. And if it's option C, none of the above, well, that's okay too. All right, but at least you know your options.
Yeah, because do you feel that people really understand Social Security very much? Isn't it something that people think they know how it works?
Is that a trick question?
No, because
Okay.
I think people don't really know how it works.
I think the most dangerous people are just the lay people, the engineers,
Yeah.
just average people.
Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe. They think they know exactly how it works, and they're overconfident. And as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, they're not vulnerable enough to ask for help. And look, I understand it.
True.
Okay? I get it, especially if you were raised that way. Most people don't. Most advisors don't. I hear these people on the radio that literally just give terrible advice on Social Security. I'm sorry.
It must
I'm,
be awful.
I'm not calling anyone
listen
out.
to that,
I'll just
yeah.
say, look, that's not true.
Right.
Like, are you on any social media like Facebook or Instagram? You get those reels all the time. Every other one is a Social Security workshop ad. There's a ton of wrong advice on those. I listen, I go, no, that is completely wrong. And what, as I said a few minutes ago, I don't know all the rules, but I know the important ones. And these people are advertising that they're the experts. In their advertisement, they're wrong on the rules. But,
Can you imagine?
yeah,
That's really crazy.
it is a little crazy.
It's a little crazy.
I
yeah.
agree.
So that was an interesting point. Okay, so she could start taking Social Security at age 60, and it's because she was born during that time.
No, at 60, it's because she's a widow.
She's a widow.
Or
okay.
a widower. Could go
Or a
either
widower.
way.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. All right. And the most you can kind of wait for, it maxes out at 70,
That's everyone.
and that's everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a lot of people who have like kind of gray hair that are, working jobs, and it's as if they look like they're going to work there a while.
Well, I was talking to a gentleman today who's a registered nurse, works at U of M's hospital, worked for 30 years. Didn't save much money, right? Life got in the
Right.
way. He and his wife got divorced. Still live in the same house, by the way, which I think is great.
That's awesome.
And his 2 adult kids live there. And he goes, look, it's like we're a family. He goes, we all get along. We just didn't get along as husband and wife. And I go, I love that guy.
That's actually amazing.
It is amazing.
Good for them.
Anyway, he plans on retiring at like 70. And his Social Security was like $4,600 a month at 70.
Goodness.
That's a lot of money. I know.
So do we get taxed on Social Security earnings in Michigan?
No state tax.
No state tax.
Yes, but you might pay federal tax on it. Now, President Trump said he wanted to get no tax on Social Security for seniors, but that was kind of kicked to the side. That did not go.
Would have been
get put-
nice, though, right?
It would have been nice.
Would have been nice.
Yep. You might pay federal tax.
Mm-hmm.
If Social Security is your only income in retirement, you pay no state or federal tax on
Okay,
it.
that's good.
That's great.
Because
Yes.
a lot of people, that's all they have coming in.
Yes. And if that's all you're going to have, that's fine. But then you're probably going to want to work until you're 70. Okay? Which, at the end of the day, that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. It just seems like you don't want to work until the day you die, though. You know what I mean? That's kind of my thing. It's like, oh, I hope I can afford to retire or something.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You don't want to work until the day you die. But, there's plenty of people that retire at 60 healthy with a couple of bucks in their pocket. Then they have a heart
Wow.
attack or get cancer or something else and die.
That's true.
I had a client who had some sort of a pulmonary embolism
Yes.
and died 1 year after he retired. And he was healthy.
It's just, there's no warning.
There's
It's a
no
silent
warning.
killer for sure, because you don't even know what's happening,
Yep.
right? You could be on an airplane, and that's why they say get up and walk around, because some people, this could be a fatal condition
Yeah.
to have a blood clot in your legs because you're not
And
moving.
that's what happened.
My goodness.
I know. So you never know. So
So, all right. So if somebody has, like, if they wanted to get like an IUL, if they wanted to get an annuity, then is the annuity from their own money or is it from their retirement account?
it could be either. So
Okay.
if an annuity is, and I think that's the last mistake we have, and I see this a lot. I teach my class.
Yes.
And-
at three
and-
different places.
Yeah. And one example that came to mind, one couple that came to my class and came in and very well organized. He was a retired engineer, worked for a bunch of different suppliers, kept losing his job, and he finally said, I'm done. And she's like an educator, and she's retiring this summer. I think they had like 14 different annuities.
What?
Yeah. And I'm going like, okay, like, do you think you're dealing with a financial advisor or an insurance salesman? They kind of looked at me and they go, well, probably an insurance salesman, which they were. The thing is,
Absolutely.
there was no plan for them.
No.
All right. Just a bunch of annuities.
No, because an insurance salesman is not a financial retirement
No.
planner.
And it was okay. They were pretty low risk and everything else. But what we did is we showed them how to put them all together.
Good.
And how to use them.
My
All right.
goodness.
Yeah. I don't know if I have an example up there of that or not, but
I don't think we do. I think this is the last. That's the last one. So, yeah, that's the last one. So you can tell me how it works.
yeah. So they had a ton of different annuities, no plan. And they were all these, they're called MIGAs, like multi-year guaranteed interest rate type thing.
So low risk.
No risk.
No risk.
Let's just say no risk.
Very good. Okay.
the problem was when they matured, all their interest rates were going to go down. So it was really hard for them to plan. But we just started to show them, and they wanted to buy a cottage with one of them, and we set that aside. And we just built all these different annuities into their plan.
Wow.
So they had a plan. Now, with this couple, one of their insurance companies was insolvent. And their insurance salesman didn't call them and tell them this. And this gentleman was upset. Like, super nice, super friendly guy. And when I brought this up, like, you know, the expression like your blood was boiling, I could literally see his blood boiling in his eyes. And I'm going like, you know, I don't want to say his name, but something like, okay, we'll help you with this.
But it's dishonest.
So annuities are loosely insured for up to $250,000.
Okay.
Okay. I don't want you to think FDIC insurance because it's not.
Okay.
It's like it though. And so I told this client, I said, well, we can help you go through this process. I'd never been through it with a client because we'd never had an insurance company go through receivership. But I said, yeah, we'll help you with it. And at the end of the day, I wanted to learn about this process
Completely,
too.
yeah.
Okay. So we took him through it. And I think he had 368,000 in this one annuity.
Wow.
I said, well, 250's insured. Okay. So your maximum risk over time might be 168,000. Long story short, they let him took 100 out right away, which was odd. Beginning of April, he got 250. So now he's got 350 back, and he's still waiting for the other 16, which they're saying he's going to get some portion of that back this year. So at the end of the day, he might lose a little money, which is terrible, by the way, but he's okay with it, and it's not going to be life-altering for the couple. I was surprised he got so much back.
How did you check into it? Because he probably didn't know, because the insurance salesman didn't tell him.
Insurance salesman didn't tell him.
So you found out.
We called the company, and then they said
Wow.
it's already at the Michigan Guarantee Association.
Wow.
And so then we reached out to the Michigan Guarantee Association. They gave this client a username and login, and then he could go in and track it.
I just can't believe that you found it and you helped him and you taught him and learned for yourself. Like, this is how things work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people could have done that. I enjoyed doing it because I learned about it, and it turned out great. I was really happy that it turned out well for this couple.
It could have been so much worse.
It could have been really bad. Yeah.
And that's a lot of money, right?
It was a ton of money. Yeah, that's a lot of money, to
That's
potentially lose.
Absolutely.
And, at the end of the day, and I don't fault the insurance salesman, okay? Stuff happens. You got to be a little proactive, though. Mm-hmm. If you see an insurance company and I researched this because I wanted to see how quickly it happens, and it took about 6 months. But it doesn't go from A-rated to insolvent overnight. There's steps, and I'm
No.
going like, why didn't he call and say maybe we should get ahead of this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got to be a little humble from time to time and say, yeah, we made a mistake. I didn't know this was going to happen.
Right.
Here are your choices. One, you can go down with the ship, or two, you can get in a lifeboat. And then you decide. I don't know what's right and what's wrong, but you need to decide.
If they didn't go to see you, though, they may not have gotten...
I think it probably would have worked out the same. They might have had a little bit more stress around it, but I think it would have worked out the same.
Gosh, I'm really glad, though.
Yeah,
that
me
they
too.
Found you.
Yeah.
So you do you have classes through the summer too at Oakland Community College, Schoolcraft College, and Macomb Community College?
Yeah.
You have
so
them through the year?
Yes, although we don't teach quite as much in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
We're teaching next week at Schoolcraft.
Okay.
And then I think we're going to Macomb and Oakland in June and July.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about August, yes. But yeah, we do have our class schedule on our website.
Okay, good.
And if you're interested in spending a couple hours with us learning about this, the website's just boneasset.com. That's fine.
Boneasset.com.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But if you were to Google Bone Asset Management, which is my company's name, my website would come up. If you're interested in learning more about this, come on to the class. It's free of charge. All you have to do is bring in some canned goods that we donate to the Lighthouse in Pontiac. Nice. And, we'll spend a couple hours talking about all this stuff. And, maybe you'll answer some questions. Maybe it won't. Or maybe it'll raise more questions. I don't know. But anyway, you'll be a little smarter when you leave.
It'll be time well spent for sure.
Yeah,
I'm really
absolutely.
glad I went because there was so much I didn't know, and I'm an insurance agent, and there was so much I didn't know. It's very humbling, but then you say to yourself, "Thank God I know now before I need it."
Yeah.
and that's kind of I would
That's-
want to come see you before I need it.
That's kind of my motto. You have to go through this before you need it.
So true.
Before, in this day and age when they're laying people off left and right, before you get tapped on the shoulder or you get the email at 5 a.m., which I know some of the auto companies are doing right now. Saying, okay, 5 a.m., you get the, your laid off email. They shut down your computer, no more access. You basically have to access it on your phone. And most of these people, unfortunately, have company cars and, they got to turn in their keys,
Can you
within.
imagine to get to that level that you have a company car like the person you knew, and she had like nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
And
That's just-
I don't think it's unique to her. I think it happens all the time, Sue.
So sad to hear that, but
Yeah.
at least there's something you can do. You can empower yourself with getting good information,
That's it. Yep.
asking questions, and I highly recommend going to a class or actually going to Rick's office. He's very, very centrally located, Woodward Avenue in Bloomfield
Yeah.
Hills. Really easy to
18
get to.
Mile in Woodward.
Lots of parking. It's a really nice office, and you're just going to feel so much more comfortable because it's a kind of a scary game, and this game is changing every single day. And I just feel like Rick's just entire demeanor is so comforting. So I'm just really happy to, with all my heart, to recommend you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome.
All right.
Thank you for watching. I really hope you learned something about Social Security and the complexities of how important it is to make a decision before you need to.
Absolutely. Yes, before the decision's made for you.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes. So, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Rick. What a pleasure
Yep.
it is to talk with you. And we'll see you next time.
Yep,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Sue.
You're so welcome.
God, my nose was running. It's like there's no commercial to blow my nose.
We did good though. We always try to like use the time pretty good. Like
Yeah,
you're really good at like sort of like allocating